Welcome to Proven and Probable. I'm your host, Maurice Jackson. Joining us today is James Pettit. He is the President, CEO, and Director of Aben Resources. Mr. Pettit, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Maurice.
Mr. Pettit, we are glad to have you back on our show, sir. In our last interview, we discussed the next unanswered question for Aben Resources, and that would be drill results. This week, Aben Resources issued a press release conveying some intriguing results. Before we begin, for someone new to the story, who is Aben Resources, and share with us the names and location of your three projects, beginning with your flagship.
Absolutely, thanks. Aben Resources is a gold exploration company based out of Vancouver, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, and our flagship property is the Forrest Kerr property. It's in the Golden Triangle, which is a region of northwestern British Columbia, which has got a tremendous history for high-grade discoveries, the likes of Snip mine and the Eskay Creek mine, discovered 30-some-odd years ago. Eskay at the time was one of the highest-grade mines in the world. Since then, there's been a lot of discovery that's happened over the years in terms of more gold, silver, and copper. These are still in the development stage, many of them, waiting for possible higher prices for the commodity. But they're probably the largest untapped development projects in the world, especially the copper projects. Now, specifically with us, with the Forrest Kerr project, we acquired that ground a couple of years ago, 3 years ago really. I started assembling it, and I put three claim groups together. We chose those because they're on a structure. They're on a major structural feature, which we look at as one of the controlling structural features in that whole Golden Triangle area. It's called the Kerr Fault, and it's a big fault that you can see from space. It's pretty interesting. If you go to our website, you can see a picture of it. That is an area you want to be near for discovery potential, and then there's other geologic features that you want to be coincidental to that, and we're right in between them. So we're in a good area. We're getting a lot of attention. The market's certainly paying attention to this, everything that goes on up there. The most recent new production up there is the Bruce Jack mine, which is a very high-grade gold mine, and that really brought about $2 billion in value to it and his investors. So, there's lots of potential there. We're excited about it. That's why we've been so concentrated on it this year. We've drilled now, I think, just short of 40 holes. We've got 24 to be released still. That's going to take us through the rest of the year almost. Another project we have that'll get us through the winter, because the weather in the Golden Triangle is pretty severe. It's a coastal mountain range right beside the panhandle of Alaska, and gets a tremendous amount of rain or snow, heavy amounts of snow. So it becomes almost impossible to work up there through the winter, and unless you've got just a huge amount of money and resources to do it. So, that whole area will be going quiet soon. And we have another project called the Chico project, which is in Saskatchewan, just south of what used to be called the Claude Resources gold mine. It was bought by Silver Standard for $337 million. Silver Standard is now called SSR. They acquired the ground between the Chico property and their property, which they bought from Claude Resources. So we've got basically, we think we've got an extension of what they're looking for, because their interest rate now, Silver Standard, or SSR, sorry, is to expand their known resource. To keep that mine alive, for the next 20 years, they need to find more of a resource. They've got a good resource to start with that they bought, but I think they've probably got 5 to 7 years left. They want to take this further. So they're drilling on the ground between them and us now. They've acquired all the ground. and it's giving us a good model to work with. So we'll go in there in the winter. It's the best time to drill in Saskatchewan because it's flat, it's frozen, the lakes are frozen, so we can access and egress very easily. And it's just to put up the camp, bring in the rig, and move the rig with a helicopter if need be, or you skid it. And so we'll be going in there in February. That'll keep momentum going for the company. And then we've also got a project up in the Yukon called the Justin, which is tied right onto Golden Predator's ground, what they call their 3 Aces. Well, we're right on strike to the 3 Aces structure. And we've done a little bit of work there this year in terms of trenching with the mechanical backhoe. We got that up to the site by helicopter, and we're waiting on assays that, we spent 10 days doing this. We think we're sitting right on top of potential something very similar to 3 Aces, which is a very high-grade epithermal or hydrothermal quartz vein system, and it's very rich. And like I said, I think we're onto something there. We'll know when we get the assays, and if they come back the way I think, we'll be setting up a program for next year. That's a good project to have in the shoulders between the Forrest Kerr, or before the Chico winds down in the winter. We can't really get into the Forrest Kerr until June, July, so we can get up into this region in the interim and keep moving them forward. So, we've got 3 really good projects to work on, but our flagship is definitely Forrest Kerr because the audience is there. It's an area play. We all love area plays. So that's where we stand right now.
Well, speaking of the Forrest Kerr, let's focus our discussion today on the Forrest Kerr. What can you share with us?
Yeah, it's a new zone. We've been working and concentrating on the north boundary zone, but this season we drilled 3 holes to the south of the north boundary zone. It was 1.5 kilometers south, and we put in these 3 holes because we were trying to buy time so we could get more assays back, because our concentration is the north boundary zone, and we needed guidance from some of the assays. So we did do that. But we decided to drill where we did because there is a geochem anomaly and target that we wanted to test, and it was coincidental with an old geophysical survey that showed something promising. Geophysical anomalies are, they're interesting, but certainly not like a geochem where you actually get the gold in the sample, and that's why you're there. So you have a good geophysical and geochem target to work with, and it turned out that we did the right thing. We've hit something there. It's not as high grade as the north boundary appears to be, but it's broad and it's mineralized. And I'll use the one hole, the best of the 3 holes, hole 21. You've got almost 380 meters in that hole. It is well mineralized, primarily gold, from trace level of 0.1 all the way up to 5 grams. And every interval. I would encourage you to go to the website, look at the news release. On the news release, you can click and go to a cross section of these holes, and you can see the mineralization in the core. Like, you can basically look at the cross section, and you can see how much there is on it. It's the way we set it up is it's almost like a graph, and you don't very rarely see that much continuous like that. It gives a lot of it's a lot of important information about the tenor of mineralization in that region. And that's definitely has our attention. We need to drill more holes there. We'll get to it next year. The season's definitely winding down up there right now, but it's going to give us a lot of info. Plus, we have now flown the whole valley, which is the whole boundary zone, north and south. We've flown that with an EM geophysical survey, and we're actually just waiting for the results of that, the interpretation of it. We'll take that information, an increased amount of geochem sampling that we've done, as well as all the assay results that we'll have for the season. We'll use that and compile some significant information for next year and work up a series of targets, actually.
This is quite intriguing, exciting. Any adjective you'd like to associate with it. Congratulations, sir. Now, prior to this week's press release, Aben Resources was able to successfully complete a financing and secured a major shareholder. Share the details with us, sir.
You bet, yeah. The first hole we put out this year was spectacular. You know, it had an interval of 10 meters of 38 grams. Roughly 38 grams. I mean, that's spectacular in itself, but within that was 6 meters of 62 grams gold. That's like 2 ounces. Spectacular results. That got the market's attention. The stock really moved up, and the interest for financing was immediately apparent. And so we did announce a financing, and it was half of it. The 4.2 million is what we announced immediately, and half of it was taken by a fellow named Eric Sprott, who is, you know, a bit of a gold legend. He started Sprott Securities, which now has a big presence in Toronto and also a big presence in Carlsbad, California. He is the consummate and ultimate gold bug, loves gold, and is not afraid to take a big stand in an early stage deal like this. This is the exploration phase, and this is potentially where you can absolutely make the most. You know, you're in at a price that seems very cheap and the market cap's low, and you have this discovery, and from that point on, you want to keep it growing, and the market reacts correspondingly. And he's well aware of that. He's not afraid to take a shot, and he does it with a number of companies. But when he gives his blessing to it, it's pretty substantial. And we also raised another $1 million after that, because largely because his name was now attached to the original financing. So we raised another just short of $1 million flow through. So the company now has just over $7 million, and so we've basically got next year's program paid for.
And that leads to my next question. What is the burn rate, and does Aben Resources plan to return to the market in the foreseeable future for another financing?
Well, the second question's answer is no, we won't. We don't need to. We are, our burn rate varies from, where we are in the year. If we've got things on the go, where where the drill program, et cetera, our burn rate, and I'm just talking about basically our G&A and marketing burn rate, that can grow to $200,000 a month. And then the field work is always budgeted. So this year we had budgeted about $1.5 million, and we increased it by about $1 million. So this year, all in all, we spent about 2 to 2.2 to 3. I haven't got the final numbers in. And that's all in for all, that project. We doubled the size of the drilling program, et cetera. And we're just, we're getting real close to shutting down, but I don't see it going over that. So, for the G&A side, the operations of the office in Vancouver and marketing, because it's important to spend money on marketing, and we travel a lot, marketing this project. That's runs about $200,000, varies up to $250 a month. And then when we aren't working, everything obviously slows down, but then we are still marketing because we want people to know what we achieved. We always have goals, and we want the market to understand we're achieving the goals. I think that's quite important.
Indeed it is. Switching gears onto management. Aben's management team has a proven pedigree of geological and business acumen. I want to focus on potential amalgamations in the sector. Should this occur, share some of the past successes of management rewarding their shareholders on previous arbitrage successes.
Sure. Well, our chairman, Ron Nedlitsky, he's like a serial M&A guy. The market really watches what he does. And in the past, for example, he was in on the discovery of Snip and Eskay Creek up in this area. He's got a very, very big following of people all over the world that have followed him through his career and starting there. And he's also very successful in Saskatchewan as well. But, the M&A that obviously Eskay and Snip. Snip was sold to Cameco way back, and then Eskay was ended up in Barrick's hands. And then since then, there's Copper Canyon, which he and Tim Termundi, who's also on the board, sold that to Nova Gold, and that became part of the Glore Creek project, which is now in the hands of Teck and Newmont. My background, even though I'm not a geologist, is I started a company called Bayfield Ventures and eventually sold it in 2014 to New Gold as part of their Rainy River project. So, the three of us have a pretty good background of what's required, and we're always in contact. We maintain contact with majors all the time. And I think given the what's happening in the Golden Triangle, majors are coming back. They're starting to look again. You saw last year Goldcorp did a deal with Colorado Resources just on a financing basis, $7 million. That was a surprise move, but it shows the interest. I think Cisco's looking around there. Kinross is looking in the area. Barrick has showed their interest again. I think they actually have a buyback into the Snip deal because Skeena has got their hands on it, and they've been working on it and trying to resurrect another zone in the Snip mine. So, that's our background. I think it stands out, to be honest with you, with the amount of M&A that's been done between the three of us.
Talk to us about the share price. The market is rewarding value speculators.
Absolutely, and this is the level to enter this sort of. When you're in this market, you want to be involved with a company that's active, has good projects, good people, etc. And then you take a position and you wait for them to do what they say they're going to do. And in our case, it was, last year was the discovery of the North Boundary Zone. This year was the reaffirmation of it with a tremendous hole that you could really say is the discovery hole. We need to make it bigger now. That's our job. That's where you get this big appreciation in stock price based on speculation. And then going forward, as you put out more and more results, the market will go up and down and follow the results. And I'm seeing that this year as opposed to last year, which was as soon as you finished drilling or came out with results and you got too late into September going into October, the market sold off. It just sold off because tax loss season's coming, and they just wanted to be out of whatever they were doing, because once you're finished, it's a long, cold winter to get through, and you're sitting on a stock. Like last year, we went back down to 10 cents. That's not going to happen this year, because I've got two other projects that are good, and we've got a really good shareholder base now. We have so much liquidity this season. We ran from roughly 10, maybe 12 cents up to 50, and now it's settled back in the 20s, low 20s to mid 20s now, and it's trading good volume. During our initial discovery cycle, we traded almost I think probably since July or beginning of August, we've traded 150 million shares. And that's fantastic.
That's quite impressive, actually.
Really
yes.
good, very impressive. And we did react to, we put out a bunch of holes before this most recent one around that discovery zone, and they were less impressive. They were really good. They're all very well mineralized. They just weren't, 30 some odd grams. So those that wanted that to be repeated sold out. And that just meant there's a whole lot of people who came into the market that, they sold out, other people bought it. And we've got a really good floor here at the 20 to 25 cent range. And I think it's basically it's a buy all day long. Yeah, we've still got 24 holes to put out.
We're one of those other buyers. Speaking of the stock price, if I may just interject here, Warren Buffett and Rick Rule, they're noted for sharing how the market rewards speculators that are prepared. In particular,
Yep.
and I'm going to paraphrase them, that you should not purchase a stock if you weren't willing to see the price reduce 30% or more and be willing to purchase more. Now, we're on record. We purchased Aben Resources at 42 cents, and we're active buyers at current prices, and we're confident that the value proposition, in our opinion, continues to increase. Mr. Pettit, before we close, multi-layered question here. What is the next unanswered question for Aben Resources? When should we expect results, and what determines success?
The next unanswered question really would be, how big is this, and how robust is this boundary zone, including north and south? So far, we've tapped into two zones. The very first priority target we had was the north boundary zone. Well, generally was the boundary zone, and we started in the north end and boom, hit it right away. So when we prioritized the targets on this overall property, the Forrest Kerr, we did it based on a compilation study of all the historic data. We came up with about 12 areas we want to go test. Well, we're still on the first one. 2 years later, we're still on the first one. This boundary zone is 4 kilometers long and 2 kilometers wide, and it's all based on geochem. There's a big geochemical survey that's been done there. We've added to it now, and now we've done the airborne. So we could be there for a while, and I think we're just touching on it now. We've hit a few sweet spots. One's confirmed as a sweet spot, the south boundary zone. I think by next year, when we do some more holes, we're going to be surprised. But I think there's going to be a lot more sweet spots there. We're going to focus and vector in on where did this mineralization come from. That's really what our job is. Figure it all out, get the structure identified, and where it came from. We know there's at least 3 mineralizing events in the area, and we know there's at least 4 ages of rock. So that tells us there's been 4 major events that have happened. And with 3 of them, in came the fluids that brought the gold. So let's find some of those feeders.
Well, Mr. Pettit, we've covered the good. What keeps you up at night that we don't know about?
Keeps me up at night? Well, being a good sleeper, not much keeps me up at night. And being in this business so long, I'm used to it. There's always risk. What would scare me is we hit nothing for the rest of the holes. That would be a concern. I don't foresee that, but I think as long as everything stays on course, we're good. I don't really have a concern that would keep me awake at night. And what was the other question?
Well, I just wanted to first find out, what keeps you up at night that we don't know about, and then the last question I have for you, sir, is what did I forget to ask?
Most people ask me what I think is, where do I think we're going to go with what's remaining this season? And I don't have results. I don't know, but I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised. I think things are looking good. I think we're in the right area for sure. Absolutely the right area. This is a very robust mineralizing system that we're looking at, and we're right between the 2 big structural systems that we want to be. And I think for a discovery profile, we've got a really good one.
Mr. Pettit, for someone listening that wants to get more information on Aben Resources, what is the website address, sir?
The website address is www.abenresources.com.
And as a reminder, Aben Resources trades on the TSXV symbol ABN and on the OTCQB symbol ABNAF. For direct inquiries, please contact Don Myers at 604-639-3851. That number again is 604-639-3851. He may also be reached at info@abenresources.com. And as a reminder, Aben Resources is a sponsor of Proven and Probable, and that we are proud shareholders of Aben Resources. And last but not least, please visit our website, provenandprobable.com, where we interview the most respected names on the natural resource space. You may reach us at contact@provenandprobable.com. James Pettit of Aben Resources, thank you for joining us today on Proven and Probable.
Thank you for joining us today on Proven and Probable. Remember to like and subscribe for more conversations with the most respected names in the natural resource space. Check out our website at www.provenandprobable.com. The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.